I was just saying this could be cheating, but I say outsource when you can. I think leading a virtual session, especially if it's several hours, several days, it's an expertise and it's not for everybody. And you can find, tips and tricks on the internet, and there are lists up the wazoo to help you have an effective session. But I think you should be honest with yourself and ask, like, am I really the most qualified person to do this, right? Do I have enough energy to sustain myself and a group of 7, 8, 10 people over the course of a few weeks, right? Like, you got to be real. And sometimes you just got to throw money at the problem if you can't do it yourself. And so I would just implore that once you assess what your need is or what the, brainstorm ideation calls for, to think very critically about the leader and the facilitator. I mean, we have all been in sessions or all been in some all-day meeting, and we really wanted to get up and leave because it was not engaging. And people do not have the bandwidth for that in their home, sitting in front of a computer, right? Like, you got to be efficient, you got to be to the point, and you got to be very thoughtful and intentional about how you build a session. And so if you can't do that, if you don't have the time, if you don't have the skill set, be real, be honest, and leverage some either internal or external resources in your organization.
How do you, I think one of the things that people probably have questions about, Tiffany, on the tail of that is, I think it's interesting, Kristen can talk about this a little more. I think Cargill's really started to find somebody internally and say, go build an expertise in this and then upskill everyone. How do you think about identifying those experts either in your organization or externally, and know, right? Because now everybody is an expert in virtual, I think, is one of the things that you see pop. So what as a leader, how do you think about making those choices? And then Kristen, would love to hear from you what's going on at Cargill and what you've leaned into from a tool perspective, because I know you've sort of been championing as the expert in this.
Yeah, I'd say it starts with you as the leader knowing what you need and knowing what your ideal output is, like knowing what your end state is. And inside General Mills, we have resources to leverage that, that lead ideations and we can tap into. But sometimes, those folks and those groups can only go around so much, right? Like, they can't be everywhere at every point in time. And so knowing that you need, let's say, a high quality output, or you can't be anybody's plan B or side project, and be open and real about that. And if it takes you to leveraging external resources, talk to other folks, talk to other teams. I think it's helpful if you're issuing an RFP or talking to agencies to, ask them for a case study. Ask them what sorts of tools and techniques they're leveraging in this time. Ask to talk to one of their previous clients. Do some intel, and you can do it relatively quickly to help you make an informed decision.